The Game Boy Advance was an absolute beast of a handheld. Tiny screen, massive heart. While we all remember Pokemon Emerald, Metroid Fusion and Advance Wars, some gems just didn't get the spotlight they deserved. So today, we're dusting off that old cartridge slot and diving into 15 forgotten GBA games that absolutely slapped but somehow slipped under the radar. Even if you missed them, or maybe just need a nostalgia boost, you're in for a pixel-packed surprise. Like, comment your favourite forgotten gem and hit subscribe for more retro gold. Astro Boy Omega Factor. You ever wanted to punch robots into next week and get a crash course in anime history? That's basically your job here. You take control of Astro, the rocket-booted, laser-blasting boy wonder, as he zips around smashing evil bots, soaring through the skies, and saving the future with fists of justice. It's a spiritual side-scrolling saga packed with wild time loops, a deep character compendium called the Omega Factor, basically Astro's emotional Pokemon Dex, and one of the most surprisingly emotional plots in handheld gaming. You'll meet figures from across Tezuka's multiverse. Yes, it's a Tezuka-verse. And every character you connect with unlocks stats, abilities, and new secrets. One minute you're diving into the lost continent of Mu, the next you're reliving the same timeline to stop a killer orbital laser named Death Mask. Because of course. With fast-paced punching, beautifully animated sprite work, and unlockable powers that make Astro feel more OP than your favourite anime protagonist, this GBA gem turns philosophy, tragedy, and cyborg warfare into one epic rollercoaster. It's not just a game, it's a 16-bit existential crisis with jet boots. And yes, it absolutely belongs in the games you must play before you die Hall of Fame. Ninja 5.0. What do you get when you mix die-hard, ninja magic, and a grappling hook obsession? You get Joe freaking Osugi, a badge-carrying ninja in a ski mask who slices through bad guys like it's a full-time job, because, well, it is. In this criminally forgotten GBA masterpiece, you'll leap, slash, and zipline through a terrorist-infested gauntlet of 90s action movie chaos. The gimmick? These baddies aren't just packing heat, they're juiced up on evil voodoo masks that turn them into super-powered lunatics. Joe doesn't care though, he's got shurikens, a katana sharper than your fashion sense in 2003, and a grappling hook that would make Spider-Man rethink his career. Each mission throws you into a puzzle box level full of lasers, guards, and innocent hostages tied up like it's their side gig. Stealth isn't really an option. This is a ninja cop, not Solid Snake. But tactical takedown, slick vertical platforming, and boss battles that test both your reflexes and your grit. Oh, it's all here. Sadly, this gem dropped like a ninja fart, silent and unnoticed. But in 2025, it finally got resurrected on modern consoles. So if you missed it the first time, don't sleep on it again. Joe Osugi deserves your respect. And maybe a Hollywood reboot. Sabre Wulf. Lost deep in the jungle, and even deeper in the retro memory vault, this pixelated expedition is what happens when Indiana Jones gets stuck inside a psychedelic mech and no one gives him a tutorial. You control Saberman, a chap so committed to adventuring, he brings only a pith helmet and a saber to a 256-screen death trap. The goal? Collect 4 pieces of a mystical amulet to bypass a glowing wolf thing guarding the only exit. Oh, and while you're at it, don't mind the hordes of randomly spawning snakes, spiders, bats, bushfires, and the occasional angry hippo. It's fine. Totally normal Tuesday. Gameplay is old school in the purest form. No hints, no arrows, just vibes and trial and error until muscle memory kicks in or rage quits win. Every screen flip is a mystery box of jungle insanity, complete with bark music and flora so vibrant it'll burn your eyeballs, in a good way. The enemies? Some die, some run, some just don't care and eat your last life. But the real star is the Sabre Wulf itself, a boss-level menace that cannot be defeated, only evaded. It's wild, it's hard, and it's got more British charm than a teapot full of snakes. Forgotten? Maybe. But unforgettable once you've played it. Lilo and Stitch. A genetically engineered alien chaos machine, disguised as a blue pug with abs, lands in paradise and ends up in a family custody battle. Yeah, that's pretty much the vibe here. You play as Stitch, the pint-sized galactic menace with a taste for destruction and a surprisingly sweet spot for hula dancing. Set in sunny Hawaii and based on the cult classic Disney movie, this side-scrolling GBA romp is part run-and-gun shooter, part platformer, and all banana pants bonkers in the best way. You'll laser blast alien goons, scale palm trees like a caffeinated squirrel, and collect coffee cups like they're Pokemon. Each level has you mowing down space mutants and dodging lava pits, all while Stitch grins like a lunatic and leaves a trail of adorable mayhem behind him. He's got his signature plasma guns, spinning claw attacks, and mid-air jumps that defy both physics and logic. Think Contra, but make it Disney. And the best part? It doesn't just retell the movie. It dives into weird expanded universe vibes, throwing in sci-fi shenanigans and boss battles that feel like they were made by someone who watched Predator and Lilo and Stitch back to back. Lady Sire. A warrior queen with shape-shifting powers, magical spells, and a griffin uber on call. Yeah, Lady Sire doesn't need saving. She is the save. In this criminally forgotten GBA gem, you step into the sandals of Lady Sire, the royal fist of a magic-wielding kingdom that's under siege by a warlock who thought, what if I just made an army of furry rage monsters? The result is a fantasy side-scroller that's half platforming chaos, half hack-and-slash ballet, and 100% how did this fly under the radar? The levels swing between death-defying platform jumps and full-blown melee brawls, where Sire throws down with her jade sword, and elemental spells like she's got a subscription to Magic Monthly. You'll zap enemies with firestorms, become temporarily invincible with water spells, and take out bosses as a Sasquatch, because why not? Every level has secrets, gems, and prisoners to save if you want that perfect score. And you do want that perfect score, because it unlocks bonus levels and bragging rights. Boss fights aren't just about raw power either. They're full-blown tests of your spell-slinging and sword-slashing finesse. Wario Land 4. Let's be honest, Wario didn't stumble into that ancient pyramid for love, justice, or spiritual enlightenment. Nope. He saw treasure and booked it like a sweaty gremlin on a payday. In this gloriously weird GBA platformer, you guide our rotund anti-hero through a mystical maze of themed worlds, each more unhinged than the last. Nature, haunted horror zones, Toyland gone rogue, it's all here. And each passage ends with a freaky boss battle that feels like it escaped a nightmare, fueled by cheese puffs and early 2000s Nickelodeon. Gameplay in Wario Land 4 is like platforming on hard mode with a dash of chaos. Each level starts out easy breezy until you hit the exit switch. And then, BAM! It's a timed race back to the vortex while the music turns manic and Wario sprints like someone just shouted, "Free garlic!" The levels are stuffed with secret gems, time challenges, and hilarious transformations. Yes, Wario turns into things like Zombie Wario, Puffy Wario, and my personal favourite, Springy Scream Wario. It's both a love letter to classic platformers and a slapstick fever dream. And the ending? Depends on how greedy and efficient you are. You might rescue a princess or just a brat with a tiara. Either way, Wario gets his cash. And maybe a steak buffet. Drill Dozer. Nothing screams badass like a tiny girl piloting a tank with a giant spinning drill strapped to the front. And in Drill Dozer, Jill is that girl. When a rival gang jacks her late mother's red diamond and trashes her dad, Jill climbs into the cockpit of her armoured, gear-shifting dozer and decides it's time for a little payback, by way of destruction, digging, and diamond-fueled drama. This game isn't just about moving left to right. It's about powering through walls, enemies and puzzles, using a drill so satisfying it practically makes your GBA purr. Yes, it's one of the only GBA games with built-in rumble. You start with a simple one-speed drill, but with each gear upgrade, things get juicier. Hit Gear 2, boom, longer spins. Gear 3, now we're shredding through entire factory walls and uncovering treasure like a jackhammer-powered Indiana Jones. Puzzles are built around using forward and reverse drilling, making the gameplay feel dynamic and brainy in between the smashy moments. Boss fights? Enormous, inventive, and built around exploiting every ounce of your drill's torque. And just when you think it's all drill, the final boss flips the script. Jill ditches the machine and throws hands, literally. This game's got heart, punch, and drill-powered soul. A GBA classic that deserved to shake more than just your cartridge. Summon Knight Swordcraft Story 2. Imagine if Zelda had a blacksmithing addiction, Pokemon had weapon durability, and every sword you broke came back begging to be reforged. That's the beautiful, quirky chaos of Summon Knight Swordcraft Story 2. You play as a plucky orphan from the Colt Hearts clan, training to be a legendary craft knight while babysitting a stray summoned beast who's somehow more emotionally available than most JRPG dads. Your cozy village life gets nuked when a colossal monster named Gura wakes up in some ancient ruins. And surprise, you're now bound to a magical beast and tasked with resealing the problem your long-lost dad probably helped create. Classic. Gameplay is a delicious loop of dungeon crawling, monster bashing, and forging an absurd number of weapons, each tailored to different challenges. A sword clears vines, a spear pokes fruit out of trees, and a drill? Yeah, it breaks walls and hearts. Battles are fast-paced, side-scrolling throwdowns where your weapons break, forcing you to craft smarter and swap mid-battle like a tactical smithing ninja. When a weapon snaps, you better pray that hammer still swings. Car Battler Joe. You ever wanted Twisted Metal to date Pokemon, have a kid, and raise it on Junkyard Dreams and Teenage Rebellion? That weird hybrid would grow up to be Car Battler Joe. You play as a 16-year-old with a license to blast and a part-time job that involves strapping rockets to a junker and entering death matches for cash. Because flipping burgers is for normies, and Joe's got beef with bandits. Also, his dad was a car-battling legend who mysteriously vanished. So you know this thing's got emotional and explosive horsepower. The gameplay is a funky mashup of real-time vehicular combat and RPG mechanics. Drive into open arenas, blast enemy cars with machine guns, missiles or lasers, scoop up loot, and then head back to town to spend your winnings on beefier bumpers and deadlier cannons. Car customization is the soul of this game. There's just something about swapping out a rusted hood for a neon-plated, armor-spiked nightmare that screams personal growth. Plus, the world is open-ended enough to let you chase side missions, shop for rarities, or just ram bandits for gas money. Klonoa, Empire of Dreams. A floating bunny-cat hybrid with a magic ring that kidnaps enemies using wind and solves puzzles by stacking them like living stepping stools? Yep, Klonoa's back, and he's once again bouncing through dreamscapes and existential crises, but this time on your GBA. In Empire of Dreams, Klonoa wakes up in a kingdom where dreaming is illegal, seriously, and gets hauled before Emperor Gilius, who basically says, "Nice REM cycle, now go slay 4 monsters or rot." The catch? Those monsters are dreamers too, twisted into nightmares by a bigger, gloomier baddie hiding behind royal robes. Gameplay-wise, it's a clever 2D puzzle platformer that tickles your brain more than your thumbs. Klonoa grabs them with his wind ring, hoists them over his head like a sentient ladder, and either double jumps off them or hurls them into walls, switches, or other enemies. You'll push blocks, float with your floppy ears, and hunt down 3 stars per level to unlock the exit. Sounds simple until you realise every room is a layered brain teaser wrapped in platforming precision. The tone is sweetly surreal, the visuals are vibrant, and the story's surprisingly emotional. As always with this underdog franchise, Empire of Dreams may be portable, but it's bursting with the heart of a full console classic. Dream on, little hero. Penny Racers. Based on Japan's adorable Choro Q toy cars, this Nintendo 64 title puts you in control of tiny, chubby vehicles that look like someone melted a Hot Wheels collection in the microwave. And honestly, that's part of the charm. While it didn't quite keep up with the big dogs like Mario Kart 64 or Diddy Kong Racing, it carved out its own goofy niche in the racing genre. The gameplay revolves around customizing the heck out of your ride. You get 114 parts across 8 categories, which means you can turn your car into a flame-spitting, tank-treaded, turbo-hopping abomination that defies all logic and maybe a few traffic laws. Want wings? Go for it. Giant tires? Absolutely. There's a weird joy in mixing aesthetics with performance, and even if the physics are a bit janky and the graphics are more blocky cheese than fine wine, there's an undeniable chaotic fun to it all. It's silly, it's unbalanced, it's got cardboard trees and music that sounds like a ringtone, but Penny Racers lets you play mad scientist with mini-cars, and that alone makes it worth a few laps around Nostalgia Lane. Sigma Star Saga. Welcome to the deeply weird, wildly ambitious world of Sigma Star Saga. You play as Ian Wrecker, a top-tier space pilot who goes undercover with the Krill, a bug-eyed alien menace that just casually scooped out a Canada-sized hole from under Earth's oceans like they were digging for soup. Wrecker gets biohacked with a parasite suit that turns him into a hybrid alien ace, flying living spacecraft and navigating a galactic Cold War that's messier than a spaghetti fight in zero gravity. Gameplay. It's 2 games duct-taped together. A top-down RPG overworld where you hunt for upgrades, intel and drama, and random side-scrolling space shooter segments that chuck you into wildly different alien ships. These battles are randomized, ship-swapping, stat-building chaos, and your arsenal depends on a gun data system so customizable it makes Lego look inflexible. With over 15,000 weapon combos, yes, really, you can rain fire, reverse laser, or health drop enemies into submission, depending on how you mix your cannon, bullet, and impact data. But what really makes this game unforgettable? The surprisingly emotional story. Between Wrecker's conflicting loyalties, the slow-burn romance drama with Scarlet and Symie, and the terrifying bioweapon at the heart of it all, this GBA gem builds to a gut punch of a finale with 4 endings, including one you'll need New Game Plus to unlock. It's flawed, bold, and unlike anything else in your cartridge collection. Shining Soul 2. If Diablo and a Shining Force character sheet had a baby, then gave it a Game Boy Advance cartridge as a pacifier, you'd end up with Shining Soul 2, a frantic, loot-heavy, stat-obsessed dungeon crawler disguised as a chibi RPG. You start by picking one of 8 extremely anime-flavoured classes, like the Brawler who punches everything to dust, or the Dragon Ute who looks like a lizard in plate armour and hits like a truck with tusks. Each class plays wildly differently. Even if they're holding the same weapon, they'll swing it like they were trained in different universes. The hack-and-slash action is buttery smooth and delightfully reckless. You'll battle through 10 story-based dungeons, plus 8 secret ones, all filled with monsters that drop goodies like it's Halloween in hell. There's no inventory pause button, so you better juggle menus and monsters like a caffeinated jester. But the crown jewel, soul attacks. These flashy, enemy-squashing bombs build up the more baddies you beat, unleashing elemental havoc once you've crushed enough skulls. You'll also build resistances the hard way by getting smacked in the face with fire, lightning, or poison. Yep, pain is a teacher here. Multiplayer via link cable brings couch chaos to life, especially when you've got a priestess healing and a ninja stealing aggro like a sugar-fueled rogue. The story has a surprising amount of drama, political betrayal, forbidden fruit corruption, yes, really, and ends with a reality-breaking boss battle against literal chaos. If you're craving handheld mayhem with upgrade trees and a medieval anime aesthetic, this is a lost GBA gem that soul slaps. Jet Set Radio. Strap on your skates, crank up the funky beats, and spray your rebellion across Tokyo too. Because Jet Set Radio doesn't just want you to play, it wants you to vibe. This is the game where style is in the soul. You roll through vibrant, cel-shaded cityscapes as a member of the GGs, a punk roller gang dead set on reclaiming their turf by tagging it up in glorious defiant graffiti. But hold up, it's not just turf wars. You'll be dodging riot squads, helicopters, and literal tanks, all while doing kickflips off telephone poles like it's your morning commute. Gameplay mixes high-speed rail grinding, wall rides, and aerial stunts with graffiti tagging that ranges from simple button taps to full analog stick flourishes for those larger-than-life murals. Run out of spray paint? You better start hunting for cans mid-grind while a SWAT team's hot on your wheels. Each area escalates the heat the more you tag, transforming the cops from clumsy mall security to militarized paint haters with jetpacks. Oh, and want more characters? Beat rival gangs at their own game. Literally. Whether it's a tagging race, style mimicry, or a good old boss chase, every unlocked skater is a badge of underground.
3, 2, 1, go!
Moto Racer Advance. If you're the kind of speed junkie who thinks Gran Turismo is just a warm-up lap, then Moto Racer Advance on the GBA will yank you straight into a wheelie-popping, dust-spraying, brake-screeching fever dream of pocket-sized horsepower. The game splits itself like a biker with a mid-race identity, offering 3 wildly different styles of racing. GP for the slick, city-paved speed demons, motocross for the muddy maniacs who enjoy a little airborne dirt in their teeth, and traffic mode, which throws moving cars into the mix. Because, hey, who doesn't want to dodge civilian sedans? And it's all held together by the progression, which acts like a worldwide tour of chaos, where you earn new bikes, unlock new content, and basically prove you're the Valentino Rossi of 32-bit gaming. And there you have it, 15 criminally underrated GBA games that deserve way more love than they ever got. Whether it was quirky gameplay, hidden depth, or just a wild concept that didn't get its moment in the sun, these titles prove the GBA wasn't just about the big franchises. So fire up your emulator, or dust off that OG handheld, and give these forgotten heroes a spin. Drop a comment with the GBA game you think deserves a comeback, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden classics.